I greet each and every one of you, wherever you are around the world. This my new documentary is titled Blood in the Astral Plane. I titled it Blood in the Astral Plane because it is an unattainable occurrence. And throughout this documentary, you will be able to understand why. The purpose of this presentation isn't to convince you of something. It is to share a vital information to humanity. It is up to humanity to choose to use it. To understand the problem, you have to go back to its roots. This is also the proper way to meditate. You have to work your way down to your base by grounding yourself, and from there, you begin to work your way up. Many confusions start to happen when we begin to use English to measure Igbo words or any original language. Igbo is a Neolithic language. With that being said, we must first of all establish the fact that Ichwaja and sacrifice are not the same words. The word sacrifice originated from the Latin word sacrificium, which is sacer and facere. Sacer means holy or secret, while facere means to make. In Igbo language, Ichu is to chase off, cleanse out, or purify, while Aja is dirt. Dirt in this context is something bad. Igbo is a mathematical fractal tonal language. One word can have up to 5 or 7 meanings depending on the tonal sound. Aja, which is dirt, is also pronounced as Aja, which is sand, and Icho is to cleanse out. Ndushiaka, our ancestors, named things based on observable truth. This is why the name of our philosophy and culture is called Odinana and Omenana. Ordinana is etu ordinana, which means the way that it is on earth or ground, the way of the earth, observation on how things are on earth, being conscious of the earth's principles. Odinana was created because we are in Ogazi, which is the age connected to the consciousness of matter, materialism, Ngongo, heavy load. And within Ogazi, the astrological age of Aquarius also occurred. Aquarius is a Nekagu in Igbo astrology, as well as Orashi and Ekwensu. Orashi is hailed as Ekwensu in Oboduku, so Orashi and Ekwensu are sometimes manifested as the same deities in many places in Igbo land. These are the governing spirits of this astrological age within Ogazi, and the main purpose of this age is to awaken the chosen ones. Astrologically speaking, Cancer is the mother of the zodiac. Thus, Ogazi is connected to the age of the mother, but the negative energy of the mother, similar to the negative energy of the goddess Kali, which is why the Hindu Ogazi is called Kali Yuga. The negative energy of the mother was also manifested in the movie Moana. The name Moana sounded like Moana, the soul of the earth mother, the soul of the earth goddess. The negative energy of the earth mother is also known as Osusuogu, which is similar to volcanic plasma. Osusuogu is basically volcanic plasma. Odinana is the culture of the Mother Earth, whose symbol is the moon, Onwa. Thus, being conscious of these principles makes a human life easy in Aze. Omenana is Omume Nana, which is the behavior on earth or ground. It is the philosophy in Ordinana that gives birth to Omenana. A human being is made up of 70% water. Ichwaja is about removing unclean particles within the self, spiritually and physically. Removing unclean particles within the self, spiritually and physically, just like the ocean removes unclean particles within itself. Ananachuaja. The practice of Ichuaja was inspired from the observation of what the earth is doing to itself. Sand, dirt, is a product of the earth cleansing itself out. Ananachuaja. The earth, which is made up of 75% water, is always cleansing itself out. The earth purifies itself on Eke, Olie, Afo, and Nkwo. This connection between Ichuaja and what the earth does to itself proves that Odinana is practical spiritual science, the practice of integrating spiritual values and principles into everyday life, meaning you actively apply spiritual teachings in your daily actions, thoughts, and interaction with others, rather than just considering them in a separate dedicated time or space. It's about living a mindful and conscious life where practicality and spirituality are woven into your everyday life. And when you apply science to these activities, you become a person who understands nature and reality through knowledge and reasoning rather than beliefs. Like I said in the beginning, to understand a problem, you have to go back to its roots. According to Igbo cosmology and cosmogony, after the event of Obu Chukwu, after he resurrected Komosu with his cosmic tears, and after Komosu became Ana, and while Ana was cooling off from its volcanic plasma known as Osusu Ogugu, the first Igbo beings known as Ndembo, Ndiaka, or Ndi Ushaka were watching Ana transform from the moon. Oma is the first Igbo woman. She was the mother who gave birth to the first beings of the earth. Thus, she is hailed as Oma Muri Igbo. Chukwu sent her to this world to create order and balance in the newly formed universe. Similar to how Ra sent Ma'at to create order and balance. There was no human or animal sacrifice in the first age of the world, known as Ogaka. Ndiaka did not worship anything. Ndi Aka were a bunch of Omo Agbara and did not look nothing like today's people. So how can an Agbara sacrifice a chicken or a goat to an Agbara? It doesn't make any sense. It is also very important to state that Ndi Agbara were not just highly advanced beings roaming around for nothing. In Igbo cosmic stories, they are part of the particles of Owawarawa, and Chukwu instructed them to help in the development of the newly formed universe. For example, Chukwu instructed Ududo Okwanka to weave the Milky Way galaxy. In fact, the Milky Way galaxy is Chukwu himself as Ato, the cosmic thought stream that created the Milky Way. Some of the Omo Agbara settled on Earth to help in the organic development of the newly formed planet. The first Igbo beings came from Sirius, Ose Oture, and the Pleiades, Omonna Sapurije. After the Earth cooled off, they landed on Earth through Ugoebenaja, which is the mountain of the Moon Mother, Oma. This mount is also known as Ugunzo, the mountain of the Calabash Chalk, which is a representation of purity. They were as bright as the moon. Others landed on Earth through Ikwekili, which is the ancient Igbo term for astral projection. Those from Sirius were androgynous beings, while those from the Pleiades were mostly women. This is why the star of women in Igbo is known as Ugoebenaja. For the record, these were not human beings, they were Omo Agbara, which are a group of divine beings. They were extremely advanced in the ways of Chi. As a matter of fact, Chi was their main source of power. As Chukwu is the main divine being, they were many divine beings. They were capable of moving trees with a thought of their mind. They basically looked like the creatures from the movie Avatar, except that they were not tall and they didn't have tails. They could transform themselves into trees, plants, and many species of the earth. The Pleiadians decided to live in the waters after helping to design the first Igbo communities. These divine women were able to give birth to children without men. Their offsprings were also Omo Agbara. Many of them also settled deep in the ocean, sea, and river. As Umuabara were not humans, it is important to note that they were responsible in the events that created humans. Ogaka was the true golden age. Ogaka bụ mgbe enu bụ anị ọsa, mgbe ọba na-eke nwana, mgbe ọnwụ na-abịabeghị n'ụwa. Ndị aka, the first beings of the earth, they did not know anything called ọnwụ. Thus, there was no sacrifice in Aka. There was no need for Ichuaja in Aka, because ndị Aka were nothing but pure and spoke nothing but the truth. This is why truth is an expression of life in Igbo. Thus, we say that eziokwu bụ ndụ, truth is life. Death did not enter the earth until the arrival of Ndị Ọra Mmụọ Ogologo, also known as Ndiagede. This event caused the death of one hero of Ndiaka named Aliliebe. Ọnwụ Alili marked the beginning of Ogachi, mgbe ọnwụ bịara n'ụwa, when death came into the world. Igbo people have two major ancestors, Ndushiaka, the ancestors of the night, and Ndushiagede, the ancestors of the daytime. Though there were different Ndiagede that arrived in different time periods. Some came to build with us, while some came to weaken us. Ndushiaka were the ancestors of the night. When there was no daytime, there was no time, and there was no death. Sorrow is called Akwa Arịrị in Igbo because Arịrị, Alili, is the name of a hero of Ndiaka during their war with Ndị Ọra Mmụọ Ogologo Egede. Tall spirits from the sun, they landed on earth through Mars, Obuikenga. Mars was much closer to the earth during that time. Some Ndembu Aka left the earth through their own free will because we were much more advanced in the ways of Chi. Arịrị and his warriors were weakened from this war because the visitors came from a more advanced universe. They destroyed their universe and decided to invade ours. After over 1 million years of our golden age, Ogaka, Ọra Mmụọ Ogologo told Ndiaka to sacrifice Alili to the sun, and they did it together. But this particular sacrifice weakened Ndiaka some more, and that's how death came into the world. Not only did death came into the world, lies, deceit, wickedness, and all manner of evil also came into the world. This was the beginning of our downfall. Before this sacrifice, we had no knowledge of death because we had no knowledge of time, because all we had was nighttime. There was no daytime. This is why when something tragic happens in Igbo, we cry, Akwa Alili. Alili egbuom, Alili egbuom. Ndị Ọra Mmụọ Ogologo brought the end of our golden age, weakened our advancements of Chi, forced our mothers into mating with them, and had hybrid children with them. These hybrid offerings of Ndiagede are the ones creating many chaos in Igbo land today. They despise truth and order. They despise restoration and preservation. They despise development and progression. They despise change. And they despise purity. Everything Ndị Ọra Mmụọ Ogologo told us was pure lies. This is why we are no longer as advanced in the ways of Chi as we used to be. We went from immortal to mortals. We lost regards for Ụmụnna Sapụrụ Ije, our divine mothers. Ever since then, the black man never regained true consciousness. From the story of Aliliebe, it is clear that the concept of sacrifice was brought to the earth by the invaders from a destroyed universe. Nobody knows what destroyed their universe. What we know is that they landed here and created mayhem. Ndiaka went from Agbara to Adaka and from Adaka to Mmado. Mmado is a mortal being with a limited ability, though intelligent, but very limited ability compared to the ability of Ndiaka. In most mythologies, the concept of when Ụmụ Agbara ruled the earth refers to a primordial time in the distant past, before the existence of humans, where powerful divine beings directly governed the world. These powerful divine beings were our ancestors, Ndushiaka, and we are a product of the forceful mating between Ndiagede and Ndiaka. This mating weakened our genes and turned us to humans and brought the second age of the world known as Ogachi after over 1 million years of our golden age known as Ogaka. This is why Ogachi was the age of self-realization and dualism. It is also important to note that we made peace with Ndiagede, or Rammo Ogonogo, through our creation of Igbo, which is Udo. This is why when two people are fighting, those that came to stop the fight will be saying, Ebo, Ebo, Ebo. It is because Ebo is Igbo, and Igbo is the forest of life, which is Udo. Igbo is one of the many avatars of Eze Udo. Igbo is the mediator of the earth. In a football match, Igbo would be the referee. And now you know what Igbo is. Igbo is like the forest. The forest is the mediator of the earth. The forest creates the ecosystem which preserves life. And life is beingness, and beingness is Udo. In Afa, Ichuaja is Obi, Atolopa, while Igbo is Atolopa, Obi. It means that to be Igbo is to be upright. Throughout the 4 world ages, during each age, humans lost potency. Human potency and intelligence did not increase throughout the world ages. Ogachi people were not as potent as Ogaka beings. Ogamu people were not as potent as Ogachi people. And Ogazi people are not as potent as Ogamu people. As the ages moved, we drifted apart from Chukwu and got more closer to Ajana, which is the physical earth. The totemic spirit of Ogaka is Agofu, also known as Awolofu. In this serious Ugo arch, he is depicted as a winged leopard standing on top of the palm tree, staring at the primordial star Sirius, which is the primordial star of Ndembo. Igbo Baga. Ogaka beings were Omuagofu. They lived in harmony with Chukwu, and they were all one and spoke only Afa. The first tree created by Chukwu is the palm tree. Thus, the palm tree is the Igbo tree of life. The mystical winged leopard stands on top of the palm tree, staring at the primordial star, represents how advanced and in tuned Ndiaka were in the ways of Chi. Ndiaka depended on the direct source, which is Chukwu. In Alpha, he is Aka Ofu, the primordial one, the primordial source. The totemic spirit of Ogachi is called Oganachi or Oganigwe. It is because Ogachi people depended on trying to reconnect back to the original source, which is Aka. They created astral projections and meditations. They also created the first concept of Echuaja, which is directly connected to the literal meaning of the term, which is to cleanse off dirt from the self in order for one to become as Aka, in order to become one with Chi, Munachibofu. Ogachi people were Ndi Oganachi, Oganigwe. They were preoccupied in returning to the original self through different practices. As time went by, people began to give different meanings and apply different items to the practice of cleansing. The people of Ogachi were heavily interested in knowing about the afterlife and reconnecting back to the astral plane, which is Bemmo. Out of all the items and symbols applied to the concept of cleansing, the most sacred was Nzo, Noji, the calabash chalk, and the Igbo kola nut. There is a specific kola nut known as the Igbo kola nut. It is usually reddish in color. The concept of building temples was also bettered at this time. They built temples for their Chi. The concept of Alose was also built during this time. Basically, the temple and the Alose were often the same, but at the time, it wasn't called Alose or Aroshe. In fact, the word Alose is a faded form of an Afa term known as Akwu Ululushi. Akwu Ululushi. As time went by, the name started to change and the meaning also transformed. An Aroshe is a very sacred organic technology created by the Dibias of Ogachi to stop evil from happening and to connect to the original source. Thus, as the Akwu Ululushi was transitioning, the people also called it Alokose, abomination must stop. An Alose can also be classified as an ancient courtroom, a place where one can be found guilty or innocent, depending on what one did. An organic technology that evaluates the self. An alose is an embodiment of an agbara, an organic technology that mimics the functions of agbara, and most of them were built around the place Enuna and Agbara. Thus we say that Enuna and Agbara apata, when the sky and the earth mates, an Agbara will emerge. And a matter can become an Agbara by raising their frequency and vibration and living under the principles of Ofo. Therefore, a conscious human is an alose. Due to the fact that evil was prevalent, the people of Ogachi were trying different methods to end evil. This is why the original concept of Ichwaja began to change and transition into different concepts by applying different items for appeasement. As I previously stated, Ogachi people were not as potent as Ogaka beings, so the conscious people of Ogachi wanted to obtain the potency of Aka, but they couldn't, so they started trying different methods. The concept of asking Omo Agbara for a favor was also better. Humans wanted to give the greatest and highest gift to Omo Agbara through alose, so they decided that the greatest gift they could give is life. This idea drastically transitioned the Ichwaja into animal sacrifice. You have to understand that Ogachi people were obsessed with Bechi and Bemmo due to the fact that they wanted to obtain the power of Ndiaka. They wanted to obtain the power of Ndiaka. Remember that I told you that Ndiaka did no sacrifice because they were deathless and they knew no lies and evil. All they spoke was the truth. Within the 4 world ages, in every age, humans lost potency. Thus, Ogachi people were a condescended version of Ogaka beings. The forgotten meaning of Ichwaja is that it is actually about taming or conquering the animal self. Okay, as human beings, we all have an animal self, and it is the self that is in control of the physical body. Things didn't get better as we went from Ogachi to the first Ogawa. The totemic spirit of Ogawa is called Ujono or Olaga. In this serious Ugo art, he's a representation of the sacred African ibis bird. The Igbo masquerade, Ojono, is actually a representation of the ibis bird. Tehuti is the chi of the moon, wisdom, forethought, knowledge, writing, hieroglyphs, science, magic, art, mathematics, and judgment. Ogawa people invented all these things. His Igbo equivalent is Diatu, Ezato, Diagu, Ezagu, or Agwishoha. The English word thought derives from thought, which is the Greek mispronunciation of Tehuti. Tehuti is the embodiment of Diato, which is the thought stream of the universe, Atuchukwu. As the world age moved to Ogawa, human potency further reduced. The people of Ogawa depended more on philosophy and light work. The word philo means love, while Sophie means wisdom. Thus, Ogawa people were Ndi Ifunanya Amamife, Ndi Ifunanya Akonuche. This was a time when the greatest Igbo proverbs was bettered. Ogawa people were Umu Ujono Atofu. They used the words that comes out of their mouth to raise consciousness, Akonuche. During Ogawa, evil did not discontinue, it got worse. As Ichwaja developed new meanings, the people got more and more sophisticated with the practice. This also gave birth to the sacrifice of a life for a life. Ichwaja developed new meanings out of desperation, as well as the decline of originality. Both animal and human was practiced all over the world. This is why those ancient kings would say that when they pass away, their servants must join along to continue to serve them in the afterlife. This practice was not seen as evil during Ogawa. It became evil when humans decided to stop doing human sacrifice and only focus on animal sacrifice. But till today, the concept of using a servant to join a king in the afterlife is still secretly practiced in some places in Africa, and many elite secret societies still practice human sacrifice. Animal sacrifice dominated because some Ogawa people saw human sacrifice as evil. Then they decided to advance from that and use animals instead. This was also demonstrated in the allegorical story of Abraham and Isaac in many mythologies all over the world. It is very important to note that it wasn't everyone in the world that was doing human and animal sacrifice. Many of our people didn't do it at all. Many people depended on the original concept of Ichwaja. which is the practice of keeping the self and one's part pure with Nzu and Oji. Just like in today's world, everyone is not doing the same things. It is foolish to think that the world is doing the same things. Some of our people would use an animal to perform a ritual, and when they are done, they untie the animal and set it free. As time went by and as human potency continued to decline, people depended more on blood sacrifices and created more reasons to do them. They believe that Alose is charged with plasma, which is actually one of the purposes of the animal blood. But blood does not go beyond matter. Alose in modern time would be like CERN technology. Both Alose and CERN are charged with plasma. The difference is that CERN works with literal plasma, while Alose works with literal blood. Plasma is the liquid portion of blood, not blood itself. Plasma is Oko, which is light, which is Eke. CERN technology mimics the cosmic dance of Lord Shiva. In fact, there's a statue of Shiva at CERN headquarters. The Shiva cosmic dance represents the cyclical nature of the universe, encompassing creation, preservation, and destruction, and the constant flow of energy and transformation. CERN mimics the principles of Shiva, just like Alose mimics the principles of a specific Abara. Umuazi and blood sacrifice are just like flat earthers. They think that if you believe that the earth is flat, then it means that you have gained all knowledge. Just like they believe that if you do blood sacrifice, then things will work out in your life. Just like a pastor thinks that if you don't pay tithes, then your life will be miserable. While the truth is that there is no one way to gain all knowledge. There is no such thing as all knowledge, because the cosmic circle of the mother of the universe is infinite. If you had any tiny bit of arcanuture, you would know that those who say that you must sacrifice chicken and goats in order for your life to be better are just like the pastors who told you that if you don't pay tithes, nothing will ever work in your life. Don't get me wrong. Just like CERN is a powerful transhumanist technology, Alose is also a powerful organic technology by humans. To use blood to attract an energy force to materialize is a limited possibility. The concept can only achieve fleeting goals, kind of like how NEPA brings light and takes it immediately, and many times it doesn't even work. It can only achieve a fleeting goal, which is why the Alose is often demanding for blood, and the Dibia is classically conditioned to think that without this way, nothing would work. The Alose demands for blood like your car demands for fuel. Both are a representation of fleeting goals. During Ogaun, there was a decline in virtue. Humanity experienced a shortening lifespan, increased diseases, and the rise of conflict and societal divisions. The masses lost a significant amount of moral principles and true spiritual practices, with people becoming more competitive, deceitful, and pleasure-seeking. Basically, Usoroma and Usorojo existed in equal measure, marking a significant shift from Ogaka and Ogachi, which were both the age of purity and this age of self-realization. The chosen ones of Ogawa depended on raising consciousness with the principles of Ojono Atofu, while everyone else depended on ways to live their basic lives. From the decline of moral principles, we went into the Dark Ages, which is Ogazi. The totemic spirit of Ogazi is called Obungbongbo. Obungbongbo, the one that carries loads, matter. People of Ogazi are consumed with load, matter, materialism. A people that are very far from the principles of the spirit self, which is totally free from load, matter, materialism. Ogazi people are very far from Chukwu, but because they are suffering from Dunning-Kruger effect, they somehow think that they are close to Chukwu, because Azi is also a representation of extreme ignorance, extreme delusion. It is very important to note that this is the current age we are in. The chosen ones of Ogazi are in tune with the principles of the chosen ones of both Ogawa, Ogachi, and Ogaka. Ogazi brought Dark Age to Africa and the world in general. War and slavery was just the normal way of life for Ndi Ogazi. The people of Ogazi are experiencing more decline in morality, spiritual decay, increasing conflict, diminishing truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, and life expectancy. Ogazi will bring the end of the world because the next age we are going to encounter is Ogaka, basically the earth returning back to its first formation as Aka, because everything moves in circles. Wanementually. Throughout the 4 world ages, human potency did not increase. Okay, so from Ogaka to Ogazi, our potency is extremely low. So, knowing this, you have to be careful when you see some of these Ndidibias, the shamans, telling you that they have the power of the Alpha and the Omega, they have the power of Odinana. You have to understand that this is someone that's trying to put you into one chance. Okay, the greatest the greatest power we have today is Ofo. Ofo is the greatest power we have. It is the most potent power that we have is Ofo. In Azi, as time goes by, ignorance, wickedness, and foolishness will not decrease. Human beings will find more sophisticated ways to be as dumb as possible. This was perfectly depicted in the movie Idiocracy in a funny way. Hollywood is always channeling the final stage of Ogazi through their various apocalyptic films, but the real events will not have any happy ending. The Ogazi solar wizards behind the creation of the Abrahamic books also did their best in the book of Revelation, but like I said, the real event will not have any happy ending. In the end, you will see that there is no Jesus that will save you. And don't worry, we have at least 425,000 years left in Ogazi. So you and your little 100 years will not see the end of it. As if you are smart enough to live a healthy life, because the life expectancy in this world is 70 years. In Nigeria, I think it's 62. The transhumanist plan to escape the end of Ogazi is to move to Mars. That's why Elon Musk is campaigning for that. It is a known scientific fact that the sun is moving closer and closer to the earth, and this occurrence will end up destroying the ecosystem. When the ecosystem is destroyed, the earth will be destroyed. This is why many of us are trying to achieve Ugoebenaja, a soul detached from matter, in this lifetime, because reincarnating back to this planet in this age means that we have failed the earth school. Anabona akwụkwọ, yes, the earth is a spiritual school. Wamo wasa, reincarnating back here more than 7 times means that you failed the school. If you don't pass the school of life, you become an obanje, a soul stuck in going and coming back. An Ugoebenaja is a soul that returns back to the earth by its own free will and not by failure. The way to become an Ugoebenaja is to live under the principles of Ofo. Igbo onye eziokwu, ị na-akwụba aka gị ọtọ, ị kwenyere na egbe bere ugo bere, ị kwenyere na ndụ mmiri ndụ azụ, ị kwenyere na enu kwudo ana kwudo, nwoke si na ya ji ọfọ, nwaanyị si na ya ji ọfọ, mana ọfọ ma onye ji ya. Ordinana is about self-mastery and mind development. That's what Ordinana is all about. Self-mastery and mind development. It's not about magic. Okay? It's not about magic. Do you know how zap-minded you have to be to reincarnate back to this planet 426,000 times or over 1 million times? There's really nothing special about this planet. We existed beyond this planet. Our DNA is beyond this planet. You wouldn't know if you have never been to Bechu Onwegi. You wouldn't know if you have never experienced Ugoebenaja, which is astral traveling. This planet can be hijacked like as if you entered one chance. In fact, the Earth is currently in one chance. Mana Bechu Onwegi can never be hijacked. He emitted na mado. He emitted na more when he had emitted na chi. As you can see, from Ogaka to Ogazi, human potency and intelligence did not increase. Morality did not increase. Life expectancy did not increase. The only things that increased are all forms of wickedness and evil. Look around you. Notice that the world is full of Ngbongo na Ngbongo. And human beings are also full of Ngbongo na Ngbongo. It is because the totemic spirit of Azi is Obungbongo. In today's world, most humans do anything for money. For the chosen ones of Ogazi, their minds and souls are in Aka, while their bodies are in Azi, because the body is made up of matter and it belongs to the mother. The chosen ones don't allow their mind and soul to be governed by Ngbongbo. The fate of the world has already been sealed. Everything in physical existence came with a destiny. The four world ages are the most valid conclusive evidence that the physical existence was predestined. The four world ages was manifested by Ndu Shiaka in Ogaka. They saw the future and the fate of the universe along with all the species of the universe, which included humans. Human beings are part of physical existence, which means that human lives are also predestined. In the Igbo language, the concept of predestined is often expressed through the concept of akaraka, which signifies a predestined cause of event or destiny, often seen as an irresistible force. This is why there is an Igbo proverb that says, "Ihe onye ga-abụ dị n'akara aka ya," literal meaning that what you will be has already been written in your fingerprints. We also say that akara aka dị na iche n'iche, meaning that our handprints, which contains our fate, are unique to every individual. All fingerprints are not the same. Thus, all fate are not the same. Palmistry is the practice of analyzing the palm to learn about a person's personality and future. Before colonization, Igbo women dibias and other African women dibias were gifted in palmistry. Throughout the events of the world ages from Aka to now Aze, the chosen ones were often making efforts to raise consciousness. Many people made efforts to restore order through various means of Ichuaja, especially during the time when the concept of Ichuaja was shifting from its original practice with Nzu and Oji in connection with the spirit self on an individual. But still, human lives did not improve, intelligence did not increase, the world continued to decline. There is nothing one can do to change their already designed akaraka in the physical existence. Ihe ga-abụ ka ị ga-abụ, ihe ụwa ga-abụ ka ụwa ga-abụ. The greatest thing you can do to protect yourself is to live your life under the principles of Onofo Ma'ach. Even the Ogazi solar wizards of the Masonic Atlantis are fully aware of this fact. This is why they hijack consciousness. This is why they create the concept of transhumanism, but they can only delay or hold on to a fate for a little bit. They can never ever stop the predestination of the universe. Masonic Atlantis is one of the many names I gave to the current matrix force governing the earth with both soft power and hard power. It is the Western civilization. To further help you guys to fully understand what I am talking about, I'm going to use some events in Game of Thrones to expand my points. George R.R. Martin, the author of A Song of Ice and Fire, is an agnostic. He spent years writing those books. As a spiritual conscious person, if you are watching Game of Thrones, many of the spiritual concepts in the show will instantly connect with you. You will realize that the author obviously went deep in the rabbit hole to dig out the information in the show. I'm going to be using words in our spirituality to further show how relatable the show is to our shamanic culture and many shamanic cultures of the world. In one scene, an arrogant, disrespectful young girl named Cersei Lannister and her friend decided to go deep in the forest to meet one powerful Dibiawai to find out her fate in life. When they got to the forest, she asked the powerful Dibiawai what she would be in the future. The Dibiawai told her that everyone wants to know their future until they know their future. However, Cersei arrogantly insisted. The Dibiawai asked Cersei for a taste of her blood, handing her a knife to cut her finger with. Cersei complied, and the Dibiawai literally sucked some blood from the cut as part of her method in entering the soul of a person, which is Ibayana Mado. In Alpha, it is Ibayanaka Ose Mado. This is known as the Akashic Records in Hindu. She told Cersei that she could ask 3 questions, but mocked the prideful young girl that she wouldn't like the answers. For the record, Cersei's father had promised that she would marry a prince named Rhaegar Targaryen, and she wanted to know when they would marry. The Dibianwai responded that she wouldn't marry the prince, but she would marry the king. Worried, Cersei used her second question to ask if she would indeed be queen someday. The Dibianwai confirmed that she would, but that in time she would be overthrown by another younger and more beautiful queen who would cast her down and take all she held dear. Third, Cersei asked if she and the king would have children. The Dibianwai cryptically replied that the king would have 20 children, but Cersei would have only 3. Cersei didn't think that made any sense, not realizing that a king can have bastard children, but the Dibianwai continued to say of her children that gold would be their crowns and gold their burial shrouds, implying that all of Cersei's children would perish before her. And throughout the show, the 3 revelations that was found in the destiny of Cersei all happened to her, and she did many drastic things to stop and delay her fate, but all of them still happened to her. In another scene, another powerful Dibianwai named Melisandre was confronted by a young girl named Aya. The Dibianwai held the face of Aya. Looking into her eyes, she told her, "I see a darkness in you. In that darkness, eyes staring back at me. Both blue eyes, brown eyes, green eyes. Eyes you will shut forever." From looking into the eyes of Aya, the Dibianwai was able to see her destiny in life, and this destiny all happened throughout the show. Melisandre is a priestess, an Ezawai of the Lord of Lights, and she strongly believes in the prophecy of Azor Ahai, a hero who will bring dawn and defeat the darkness, the prince that was promised. Because of this prophecy, she aligns herself with anyone she feels is the prince that was promised. Even as Melisandre was a very powerful Ezawai, she was still not of Ucharafancha or Mecharafancha, because human beings don't have the power to change the prophecy of the universe. We can only align ourselves with Ofo in order to have a peaceful transition. While the faith of a person can't be changed, some people believe that it can be delayed or reshaped. However, the fact still remains that no matter how you bend a spoon, it will still remain a spoon. No matter how you cut onions, it will still be called onions. After the death of Robert Baratheon, his brother Stannis Baratheon decided to raise an army to conquer King's Landing, with Melisandre as his Ezawai, telling him that he is the one. The Ezawai thought that Stannis was the hero of the prophecy. As powerful as she is, she was so sure that Stannis was the one. After doing many rituals along with human sacrifice, as well as giving birth to a demon that terminated Stannis' junior brother who was his enemy, still in the end Stannis and his military were all wiped out of existence. This entire event proves that all the rituals done by the Ezawai were all meaningless and pointless to the fate of an individual. The wisest man in the Abrahamic books is called Solomon, which is esoterically a representation of the sun and the moon dual principles, which is the foundation of all esoteric teachings. Solomon is the allegorical author of the book of Ecclesiastes. This part of the Bible is a representation of Solomon in his old age, expressing the magnum opus of his wisdom. In the very beginning of the book, Solomon stated that everything is meaningless and pointless. This is a quotation coming from a man who experienced it all. I say that everything is meaningless and pointless except Ofo. Ndị Igbo sị na Ofo ka ọgwụ. There is no charm or medicine greater than Ofo. It is Ofo that guides one safely throughout their akaraka destiny. Ofo ka ọgwụ, purity and truth, is more effective than all mystic solutions, all charms. Ndị Igbo also said that Oju Ofo ga-ana. The shamans of the ages were the ones who created Ogwu, which was inspired by Agwu, the infinite spark of wisdom and intelligence. Just like Ichuaja, the original purpose and concept of Ogwu transitioned into something more hideous, known as Ajogwu, which is the abominable aspect of Ogwu. It is also very important to state that ancient Igbo people were obsessed with dualism based on observable truth. Our ancestors observed that all things comes in 2 forms. This truth originated from the alpha principles of Aku, Nobi, which are the foundation of all Igbo creation accounts and worldview. Thus, we say that ihe kwuru ihe ọzọ akwụdebe ya. Nothing stands on its own. Akwu is stillness, while Obi is movement. Akwu and Obi can also be seen as darkness and light. Whatever we seek comes in two forms, because we wouldn't know one without the other. If you seek life, you will get life, but it will also come with death. If you seek love, it will come with hate. If you seek wisdom, it will come with ignorance. This knowledge is essential in Igbo understanding of the universe and how things work. While everything comes in two forms, it is our responsibility to choose which side to stand with. It is all about Odachi na Oganiru. There is no way we would be able to know the true meaning and purpose of Ichwaja if some people were not doing it the wrong way. There is no way to know right without wrong. There is no way to know good without knowing bad, and vice versa. When you understand the true concept of ordinana, it's going to change your life. Okay, ordinana is way better than Abrahamism. Okay, because it deals with self-development and self-mastery. Okay, there's no dogma in ordinana. One of the most fundamental ideas that makes a true Onye Odinana different from Onye Abrahamism is having the mindset to let go of any method that no longer works or serves you. As Aroshi is man-made, if an Aroshi does not work, you have to find the one that works. If a method of doing things does not work, you have to find another method. It is also in our philosophy that says an Aroshi that does not work should be turned into firewood. What all these things mean is that this organic technology is not above our control. If they go above our control, such as trying to rule over us, we have no choice but to put them in their place and get rid of them. Just like CERN is not above those that created it. It means that ordinana is very practical, but Ndi Orano are not aware of these things because their frequency is too low. This is why they are worshipping Alosi like they worship Jesus and can't do without. Ndi Igbo don't worship energy. We don't worship what we are. The same way we don't bow down to kings and other humans. Alosi is like CERN. Man created it to use and work with energies under the control of man. Inside of an accurate Alosi, Ono-ya, which is known as Ono Alosi, is usually built the same spot where the sun appears each dawn, towards the east, towards the eastern part of any area, and this is usually the most potent part of the Alosi. Umuazi are not aware that an Aloshi is an embodiment of the mind and soul, which is why it also serves as an ancient courtroom. Not to be compared with the modern day courtroom where people show up to tell lies to win a case. Aloshi is a place where truth is revealed. Agbara is a high vibrating energy force. Agbara bụ mmụọ tọrọ mmadụ. You cannot send your mother and father on an errand. Onye ka ewu? Mmadụ cannot petition an Agbara to do his or her bid. Only foolish people try to do so. We can only ask, and it is up to them to choose to work for us or refuse. You cannot get Ajana to punish somebody. You cannot get Chukwu to punish somebody. It is because these energy forces are properly aligned to the faith of the universe. These are examples of high vibrating energy forces. This is why we don't fight for the gods. Man cannot get the sun or moon to position how they wish. In the same way you cannot be able to move the ground in your village. You can't even get Ofo to do your bidding, because when you encounter Ofo, it will first of all evaluate you. Umuazi have no power. If I should put it in percentage, the power of Umuazi is only 1% out of 99%. That's not power. Umuazi people are Umu Obungbongbo, those that are consumed with materialism. They are the ones behind the full transformation of Ichwaja. They started doing it to gain materialism for protection and for their shrines. This was when the concept of feeding chi came about, drastically changed the original concept of Ichwaja. They mainly did Ichwaja for material gain. This is also the reason why many of our people are running to Odinana after realizing that Jesus is not real. Instead of returning to Odinana as their original identity and their source of knowledge, they are returning because they are trying another method for material gain. Our ancestors were not saints, just like we are not saints in today's world, okay? In today's world, we have evil people and good people in equal measure. This is the same way it was back then, all throughout Ogazi. Ogazi did not start today. Ogazi goes all the way back to 3100 BCE. Okay. There are three major groups of people returning to Odinana and Omenana. Group A are those returning because they want to try something different from Abrahamism. They got tired because they couldn't find what they are looking for in the church after being there for many years. These are mostly women looking for husbands and men looking for money. Actually, they didn't get tired of Abrahamism. They are just desperate in what they are looking for, as they are willing to try different methods due to the fact that this particular group were raised in Abrahamism. They strongly believe that the world functions like a magic trick, and they are looking for the one formula to use and find what they are looking for. Group B saw Odinana and Omenana as a golden opportunity to use in their low-cunning business by cleverly crafting themselves as Ndidibian and Ndiazewai. They used the same method that many people used to become pastors. They also mastered the same method that many pastors use in becoming very rich. They repeat prosperity gospel talking points. They read a couple of chapters, and after God is Dibia, go down to their maternal or paternal villages and get themselves familiarized with one alosi or the other. And just like that, to them, they have become Ndidibia and Ndiazewai, according to the way they title themselves. They come on social media and change their names to Dibia this and Ezewai that. These second groups of people see the first group of people as praise. Group C are those who witnessed the evolution of Group A and Group B. Before the Group A and Group B came into Ordinana, we were the ones that kicked off the Igbo African Renaissance, and we are the chosen ones based on years of consciousness, years of self-mastery, years of ego disillusion, years of studying nature, and years of encountering Abia. These groups of people are not in Odinana and Omenana to take things away. These groups of people were woken up by Agwo to save Igbo from decline by raising the consciousness of Igbo. The infinite spark of cosmic wisdom shared on social media by the chosen ones were disfigured and stolen by the second group of people to use in their low-cunning business. They also used this stolen knowledge to scam the first group of people into thinking that they are legit. For many years, the Group C that laid the foundation for the Renaissance kept on warning the second group of people about the dangers of what they are doing, wanting them to stop ripping off Umuibo, stop swindling people, and stop doing charms for evil people. We taught many lessons about the true meaning of Odinana and Omenana, but they refused to hear reasons. We branded them Ndidibi Ogazi and Ndiorano, which are all from the fact that Igbo name things based on observable truths. Ordinana is not the culture of magic tricks. Ordinana bụ etu ordinana, which is a culture based in spiritual science, consciousness, observable truth on earth and the universe in general. There are different levels to it, based on one's own level of conscious awareness. Ordinana is as simple as being aware of your surroundings and understanding the laws of spiritual physics and the universe in general. The philosophies and the natural knowledge in Ordinana are the programs that shapes and mold what we call Omenana, which is Omenana, which is one's own character and behavior on earth. You see, our ancestors were never savages and unintelligent like the Oyibo man taught the world. The name Ordinana Omenana alone proves this to be true. To escape the second group of people as a new person in Ordinana, you must understand that Odinana is a way of life. It is our identity. You cannot take anything from yourself and put back on yourself. You have to understand that Odinana and Abrahamism are not the same. Abrahamism is not based on observable truth. We don't believe in God. We know what God is. We don't believe in anything. We know so much by knowing that we know nothing, because the knowledge of the universe is infinite. We don't worship gods and goddesses. We commune, acknowledge different energy forces in the universe, both the feminine and the masculine ones, and we create equilibrium with them. We don't pray and then keep our fingers crossed, waiting for magic to happen in our lives. From observable truths, we know that na onye na-enwere aka ọrụ bụ onye efulefu. Igbo philosophy says that onye gba nkịtị chi ya agba nkịtị, onye chọwa chi ya ofu onwe ya. If you do nothing, your chi will do nothing. If you start looking for your chi, you'll find yourself. The universe is just like the algorithm. In fact, the algorithm is a man-made AI imitation of universal principles and natural laws, just like Alose is an imitation of Abara. Can't you see that the things that are happening in your everyday life are all based on the things you are interested in? Just like the algorithm shows you things related to your interests. If you turn yourself into a prey, you will become a victim of those who mastered the act of low cunning. You have to understand that we are in Ogaze, the age of ignorance. Evil and wickedness, deception is in full force. You have to be extra cautious. Most people you see dwell in their lizard brainstem. They see the world as the survival of the fittest, like a massive animal kingdom. People wake up looking for who to rip off. Due to the condition humans found themselves in Aze, the reason why many people indulge in money rituals through animal sacrifice is because people are suffering in Nigeria and in Africa in general. Suffering degenerates the human brain from the neocortex to the reptilian part of the brain. If you have seen The Matrix, that's the part of the brain you plug in to enter the matrix, which is the world of Maya, illusion. Within the reptilian brainstem, there's no single reasoning. The lizard brain is always scanning for safety, survival, fear, desire, and ways to outsmart any situation, but not with any rational thought processes. Thus, anyone who is being governed by this part of their brain can be easily manipulated into thinking that they can be able to gain riches through something called Okite or Ibobo. The neocortex, which is the reasoning part of the brain, the archdome, the crown of life, also known as Okpoko Ndembo, is constantly fighting and running from the lizard brain because the reptilian brainstem is connected to the rest of the body through the spinal column. It is the governor of matter. It depends on Ngwongo na Ngwongo, which is the totemic spirit of Aze. As ignorance continues to increase and as evil continues to prevail, the chosen ones must depend on the spiritual cosmic stories in Odinana as one of the many ways to protect the minds and souls from being governed by Aze. The story of Ezanya further aligns to the purpose of this presentation. A priest king named Ezanya woke up one morning and desired to gain sight beyond sight. He consulted the most powerful Dibia in his community, and the Dibia advised him to go into nature, specifically to the birds. He told him that the birds would direct him on what to do. Ezanya walked around all the forest in his land, asking every bird for one eye, in order for him to gain sight beyond sight. He presented his most beautiful daughter, Akwa Ugoebenaja, to any bird that will be willing to give him one of their eyes in order for him to gain sight beyond sight. One by one, the birds rejected his offer and told him that sight beyond sight is a gift from their chi, and that a gift from one's chi can never be exchanged with anything. The birds chanted the mantra, Omaloneta bo natalochu monnono, Omaloneta bo natalochu monnono, Omaloneta bo natalochi monnono. After many days of being rejected by all the birds in his community, Ezanya encountered a very sacred bird known as Ubana, also known as Chekeleke in Igbo language. Ezanya begged Ubana, Chekeleke, for an eye. Like all the other birds, Chekeleke further explained to him that no bird would be willing to give up their eyes for him, and that he must understand that na omalaneta bo natalochi omonnono, and also that you cannot be looking for things of the spirit in the physical existence. After much struggle, the bird decided to help the king, but only on one condition: he must wait 4 market days. It is very important to meditate on what Chekeleke told Ezanya. The sacred bird told him that you cannot be looking for things of the spirit in the physical existence. However, Ezanya didn't care. On the 4th day, which was on Eke day, Ubana, Chekeleke, arrived with a parcel wrapped with palm fronds. Before anything, the bird told Ezanya to hand over his daughter. Then he will hand over the parcel. Ezanya handed over his daughter, and Chekeleke, Ubala, hands over the parcel and told him that all he needs to do is to watch what will happen. Then Ubana Chekeleke flew away with Akwa Ugoeze, the daughter of Ezanya. Chekeleke Ubana no more nafo more flew away with Akwa Ugoeze, the first daughter of Ezanya. After 8 days, while Ezanya was watching the parcel given to him by Ubana Chekeleke, a bunch of woodpeckers, flew out of the sacred parcel and plucked out his 2 eyes and flew away with them. Immediately he started screaming, and some village people gathered. One of them ran and called a very powerful Dibiafa. The Dibia came and repeated the same thing Chekeleke told Ezanya. But first of all, he used some herbs to heal his wounds. He said to him that one cannot use the physical eye, Osenabo, to see the ether, Etora. And then he also told Ezanya that his wish has been granted because now he can begin to see with his super eye. At first, Ezanya was a bit confused, but as time went by, he began to gain divine knowledge concerning his situation. Ezanya lost his 2 eyes and his most beautiful daughter and did not get any eye from any bird. The 3rd eye is not a physical eye. The 3rd eye is the spiritual eye, which is built on our konuche, intellect, and wisdom. Humans don't have a physical 3rd eye. The so-called 3rd eye itself is nothing but Akpauche Mado. But Ezanya, being an Ofeke, did not understand the true meaning of having sight beyond sight. He thought it was about bargaining. So instead of seeking wisdom, he went and started bargaining with every bird in the village, failing to see all the signs that Omalaneta Bonatalochi Omonono. The birds expressed their fate in nature and refused to bend their fate for a human who is not satisfied with his own fate in nature. For example, how can you ask Messi to cut off his 2 legs and give you so that you can play ball like him? Your chi did not usher you in here to become Messi. Akaraka gina Messi aburofu. Omalo agba bonatalochi Messi. Focus on finding out what your onatalochi is. And this is the problem with many people in African spirituality today. They think that there is a way to bargain with the spiritual realm to change their akaraka. Chukwu is the only one in control of the faith of the universe. And from Chukwu's perspective, the fate has been sealed. Towards the end of Odachikomosu cosmology, Chukwu locked his door of mercy, known as Uzogo, and declared that Owabo Metaraburu, whatever you do in this world, you will see it with your 2 eyes.
The concept of Ichuaja transitioned into animal sacrifice out of desperation. It was out of human desperation in trying to stop suffering, trying to stop hunger, trying to stop the famine, dry lands. There was all kinds of reasons why people started to do animal sacrifice.
We must also establish the fact that all African spiritual systems are the same. We just speak different languages and sometimes different methods of doing things, just like we have different methods of doing things in Ordinana. To further gain understanding, I seeked the wisdom of elders who have encountered the astral plane more than I have. I am only 36 years of age. In my journey in the rabbit hole, I encountered Jose Montoya Obaifa, an Afro-Cuban who has studied Ifa for over 62 years. Ifa is basically Yoruba dialectical way of pronouncing Afa. And throughout Africa, the African divination systems are the same. We just approach it with different methods. Jose Obaifa shared a very powerful perspective on animal sacrifice. He has been an initiate into this mystery tradition for over 62 years. It is a general knowledge in those in African spirituality that animal sacrifices are the way to get things done, and many people concluded that there is no other way. This limited knowledge comes from the fact that we are in Azi. Jose Montoya Obaifa happens to be one of the few chosen ones who think otherwise. According to Jose Obaifa, he said that most of the blood sacrifices are done out of a requirement and not because a specific deity is in demand for it. This statement confirms when we say that Abara does not demand anything from human beings because Abara bụ mmụọ tọrọ mmadụ. Ụmụ Agbara expect humans to align themselves to the natural laws of the universe, which is Uwana, and for a human to get something from an Agbara, he or she must align themselves to their principles. He went further to say that when a shaman uses an animal blood to perform the ritual of cleansing out your energy field, the sacrifice is often recycled back to the person the ritual is being done in their name. And this is why the shaman will always call out your name so that the entities in the astral plane will know that this ritual is being done for you. Now, in the astral plane, the energy of the animal sacrifice is recycled back to the individual, while the divine being takes the request or prayer that came along with the sacrifice, and the prayer requests are answered based on who the person is, meaning that it is very dangerous for the blood of an animal or any blood to be used to cleanse out your energy field because it is often recycled back. No high vibrating divine being requires for your energy field to be cleansed out with animal blood. Jose Obaifa is basically saying that using animal sacrifice to cleanse out your energy field gets recycled back to you like a curse, and this is why the request doesn't work most of the time. The only thing that gets to a specific divine being in the astral plane is the energy of the invocation done by a specific individual. For example, if you raise Oji to the sun and request a favor from your chi, the only thing that gets to your chi is the invocation within the request. So it is basically similar to how Ofo works. During Ego Ofo or Ego Mo, if you are not a truthful, righteous person, you are only making a fool of yourself by doing Ego Ofo or Ego Mo. If you request for the Ofo to harm somebody that did you wrong, the Ofo would harm you instead because you are not clean. Knowing this fact, we have to then ask who are the entities in Bemmo answering the request of Ndento, Ndioshi, and Ndinebu Mother. What kind of a divine being answers the request of a Yahoo boy or a kidnapper? What kind of a divine being creates charms for pastors or creates charms for you to sedate your customers and get them to buy your products? The truth is that no high vibrating Agbara would answer the request of those who break the laws of nature. The law of nature is as simple as do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Igbo people say that Obumma adịrị ekwe ka mma gaa ya n'azụ. No scammer would like to be scammed. No killer would like to be killed. No kidnapper would like to be kidnapped. No charm using pastor would like others to use charm towards him or her. No charm using business person would like others to use charm towards them. The entities in the astral plane that would accept the request of those who go against natural laws are the entities that are vibrating extremely low. And these entities are parasites. They are Ndi Ogbanuke. We actually have many names for them in Igbo spirituality. Ndi Ajomo, Ndi Okala Oyele, Ndi Ofu Oyele, Ndi Osaka, Ndi Obibi, Ndi Otro, Ndi Asili, Ndi Amosu, Ndi Odachi, Ndi Ogbafulu Ota, Nwata, Soluya Achoya. We have many names for these low vibrational entities in Igbo spirituality, and they are the governors of those who are vibrating very low. Like I previously stated, there were different arrivals of Ndiagede, and many of these entities are living here on earth with humans, as well as living inside many humans. They are the creators of the bargain, and they are the ones prevailing the most in Azi because Azi is their age. Igbo philosophy said that Owabafia, the world is a marketplace. Owaburebo Bibi, the world is not our home. Our home is Bechi, and Bechi Dina, Iche Niche. If you try to carry everything in the market back to your home, it's really going to be very difficult to do that. Even if you try to carry someone's shop, it will also be very difficult to do that. This is why Obungbongo is the totemic spirit of Azin, because the more heavy load you carry, the more difficult it would be to enter Bechigi. Also, the more load you carry, the more difficult it would be to align with an Agbara or even transform your life or transform yourself into Agbara. Our people say that otu ordinana mmadụ ka ọ dị na mmụọ, otu ọ dị na mmụọ ka ọ dị na mmadụ. We also say that ajọ mmadụ bụ ajọ mmụọ. So if you see an individual going against the laws of nature, doing evil things, this is the same way the soul of the individual would be in the astral plane. Ajo mother, bajo more. An unclean human is also an unclean spirit. The same way it would be difficult for you to get home from carrying everything in the market is the same way it would be difficult for you to enter the home of your chi in the astral plane. This universal truth of our ancestors was perfectly manifested in Put M. Heru, which is the Book of Coming Forth by Day. The Oyibo man plagiarized the name and called it the Book of the Dead. Our ancestors called it Put M. Heru. Put is mpota, which is coming forth. Is nime, which is by or in. Heru, Ra is iru, ora, ihu oha. Put M. Heru is mpota nime iru oha. Igbo language perfectly decodes Put M. Heru. The meaning of Heru is face or the distant one, as in Nkiru, Nkenoniru, or Oganiru. Heru is a representation of progression. The book is also known as the Papyrus of Ane, a manuscript in the form of a scroll with cursive hieroglyphs and colorful illustrations that was created 1250 BCE during the 19th dynasty of the New Kingdom of Ancient Egypt. The book deals with the story of a man named Ane. In his journey to Bemmo, I kind of recreated the story in my art called Ije Mmụọ na Obichukwu to show how very similar the ancient Kemet concept of my art is very similar to the concept of Ofo. In Igbo cosmology, it is said that Chukwu gave Ana, Ofo, to give to the upright humans. The Igbo mother goddess, similar to Ma'at, she is also hailed as Nwanyị Mara Mma, Nnemma, and Nnọfọ. In Put M. Heru, at the very top shows Ụmụ Agbara sitting as the jury, witnessing the judgment of the soul of Ane, the soul and heart of Ane. Neta is the ancient Kemet name for Agbara. Ane is the man on the far left-hand corner, with his wife. Remember, this is also happening in Bemmo. The scale is a representation of Ma'at, Nnọfọ, Oma, Mma, herself. Now you know where the Oyibo man stole the so-called scale of justice that they use in their courtroom. The pot on the left side of the scale contains the heart soul of Ane, while the feather of Ma'at, Mma, is on the right side of the scale. The dog-headed Neta Agbara is Anubis, Ampu. His Igbo equivalent would be Anushi. In ancient Igbo, dogs were known as Dinto, which means expert investigators. Dogs can sense change, stress, and when something is wrong somewhere. In ancient Igbo, most Dibias owned dogs. Anubis' job here is to evaluate the heart soul of Ane, or any person. If the soul of Ane or any soul heart is as light as the feather of Ma'at, Oma, then it will be free to enter Bechi. But if it is heavier than the feather, the hybrid demon Amet would devour it, thus ending the person's existence. The hybrid demon is a representation of a lower vibrational spirit in Bemmo. The soul of Onye Obungbongbo belongs to the beasts. The higher you vibrate, the less power the beasts have over your life. Onye Obungbongbo bo onye obiya bo ngbongbo na ngbongbo juru ya. Buddha said that materialism is the root of all suffering. A plane will crash if it is full of ngbongbo na ngbongbo. So this is physics. Otu ordinana mmadụ ka ọ dị na mmụọ, na ajọ mmadụ bụ ajọ mmụọ. Oke ọchịchọ ngwongwo na ngwongwo will lead to the destruction of your soul, heart, and make you become vulnerable to lower vibrational beasts, both in Bemmado and Bemmo. In the Patam Heru, Ani's soul was fortunately as light as the feather of Oma Ma'at, and he was led by Heru to become Asa, Osiris, which is Ose Ora, which is Aka Ora, which is a representation of Chi Onwege, your purest spirit. Also, you must understand that this is not something you wait until you pass away to find out. Remember that Ajom Mado Ajom. The story of Ane is about how one aligns with their chi and become one with their chi by living a very simple life under the principles of Ofo, which is Ma'at, That's why we say that Ojuofo ga-ana, onye ji ofo bụ onye nwere obiọma, therefore onye obiọma bụ onye ji ofo ga-ana bechi onwe ya. Many Ogazi people don't really understand why we chant mantras like eziokwu bụ ndụ, kwụba aka gị ọtọ, Ojuofo ga-ana. The reason why we chant these mantras in ordinana is because negative energy does not attract purity, clean spirit, clean hands, or a pure heart. This is the same reason why the hybrid beast wasn't able to devour the heart soul of Ane. It is because Obiya Demfe, his heart was as light as the feather of Ma'at, Oma. Cleanliness is next to Abwaraness. Thus, to become Abwara, one must strive to live a clean life with clean hands and clean heart. There's nothing you will ask an Abwara to do for you that it wouldn't do if you have all of these things. Sometimes, if you feel that nothing is working in your life, get a broom, sweep your house, clean the tables, wash the dishes, wash your clothes, wash your car, and take a shower. Clean everything dirty in your environment. After doing all these things, you will begin to see what it will take for your life to be better. And this ritual of literal cleansing of your environment is the true meaning of Ichwaja before the fall of man. You do the same with your heart. If you have offended somebody, do not go to a pastor or a confession room to go and ask for forgiveness. No, go directly to the person you offended and ask them for forgiveness. Self-growth is not magic. You will also be able to see all the things preventing your life from being better. An Abwara does not come around on clean environment. Only Umuajomo Ogazi Ogbanuke comes around on clean environment. Igbo si ka anyị na-achụ aja ka ikpe na-ama ndị mmụọ. If you want ka ikpe na-ama ndị mmụọ for real, na-ekwu eziokwu, na-akwụwa aka gị ọtọ, live under the principles of Ofo. Ndị ọrụ anụ will perform their animal sacrifice based on their level of understanding of ihe bụ ịchụ aja, and yet they eat the meat. Imagine throwing out your trash and then going back to the trash to find food and eat. If you sweep off dirt from your house, do you bring it back to your house? But when the Orano perform animal sacrifice as part of cleansing, they still eat the animal. It proves that the Orano are very ignorant of what Ichwaja is. If you are hungry for meat, eat your meat, but if you use animals as a ritual pedagogy for cleansing, you are only fooling yourself. Also, eating meat or too much of it is very bad. Real Igbo foods are not dominated by meat. We have meat in our food, but our foods are not about meat. The meats are usually afterthoughts. This is also how it is in most places in Africa. Think of our names for soups. They are mostly names of a specific plant or leaf. Let it be known to you today that most Igbo mythological allegories are about agriculture or Ubo. But you have to be wise to know that. Just like you have to be wise to understand the Luokun proverbs. The Oyibo man is the original Onyorano. You see, most of the animalistic things the Oyibo man was doing in Europe, they came and dumped them in Africa. Now, the life expectancy of an African man in Africa is 63. We know for a fact that our ancestors had a tremendous knowledge of agriculture, or Ubo, based on the amount of plant-based food we eat. And we know for a fact that Oyibo people barely had any knowledge of agriculture, based on the fact that their foods are dominated by meat, because the Oyibo man's DNA is much closer to a meat-eating species, such as the Neanderthals. Afro people, Ndi Igbo, don't have Neanderthal DNA. Even as we are in Ogazi, the light of the divine continues to shine for the chosen ones. As the physical universe is in Azi, you can totally free your soul from the principles of this age and transcend to Anwo, Chi, or Aka. The four world ages are connected to human behavior as well. They are very much mental as well. Someone might be vibrating on Ogaka level, while another is vibrating on Ogazi level. There are different stages and level of consciousness. Our highest consciousness is Aka, also known as Ka in ancient Kemet. The goal of a conscious human is to be vibrating as Aka or Chi. It doesn't mean that a high vibrating human does not vibrate low sometimes. We do. We are still humans. Sometimes you will find yourself in Azin, but the goal is to free yourself from that bondage.